Hey everyone, it's your buddy back again with another exciting fanfic, which is What If Kurama Naruto Awakened Otsutsuki Bloodline During Chunin Exam Part 1. If you enjoy this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more fanfics like this. Now, let's dive right into the fanfic. The third Hokage was at wit's end. The never-ending paperwork, the demands of the council and the threat of the villagers had him almost pulling out his hair. People believed because the village is a military one, that they had autonomy, and that his word was law. How wrong they were. They were a village, inside a nation. The Fire Nation, to be exact, ruled by a daimyo. While he might have control over the shinobi, the daimyo had the last say over his citizens. And that's where the rub lay. The villagers of Konohagakure were out for blood. 11-year-old blood. And they were prepared to ask the highest authority in the Fire Nation for the right to shed said blood. And truthfully, there was nothing he could do about it. Naruto was a civilian, a powerful one, but still just a normal kid. And subject to the whim of the daimyo. He was walking into the Anbu hospital, finally getting to visit Naruto after 2 months of going through inane documents and the nonsense the civilians merchants file to get more power in the village. Although he wasn't visiting as often as he would like, he was getting information on the status of the boy, or what they could figure out. It hasn't been easy. Around midnight, after the removal of the Kyuubi, Naruto went into a state of shock. A bright glare of chakra shot from his tenketsu and built a cocoon over his body. As the glare lessened, it darkened into a pitch-black wall. Nobody could touch it, not without having your chakra nullified. In fact, they would not have been able to check in on Naruto without the wall allowing for it. As stupid as it sounds, after trying and not succeeding to break the shell, Kakashi wondered out loud how they would be able to keep Naruto healthy with the machines. The wall had the answer of growing holes to connect with the machines. He was about to open the door leading to Naruto's room when he felt murderous intent coming from the other side. Ripping open the door, he was met with the sight of a cloaked person with a mask almost entirely white bearing down on Naruto with a tanto poised to enter the cocoon and kill him. Running toward the cloaked assassin to stop him, he was too late as the sword seemingly cracked through the shell. As Hiruzen was about to kill the assassin for the murder of his surrogate grandson, the cracked parts of the shell formed a levitating ball. The chakra put into the sword to sharpen it fizzled out. The levitating ball then, after reading the intent of the assassin it would seem, lashed out at him turning him to dust. I can't believe it. That was like the dust release of the Nadaime and Sandaime Tsuchikage. He said. Believe it, said a voice from inside the cracked cocoon. Naruto, is it you? Asked the Hokage. Yes, it's me Ojichin, Naruto replied. Hesitating at first, he reached inside to pull Naruto out. The cocoon further breaking up to form orbs, floating lazily by Naruto's side. The Sandaime Hokage embraced Naruto with tears welling at the corners of his eyes. Oh my boy, he chokes out in a sob, I was so worried about you. Sorry for worrying you Gigi, Naruto says, I was being chased by bullies again and went too far from my building to get inside before the festival started. No my boy, you were not to blame, it's not your fault that you were beaten, the third replied. Gigi, something else happened, Naruto said, unsure if it was real or not. While I was out I heard a voice calling me towards it. I was unsure to follow such a menacing voice so I ignored it, when the same voice shouted anxiously for me to remove the seal. Then I felt a ripping pain and saw a reddish fox with 9 tails floating by and giving me the finger, maybe he was hallucinating from the beating. Deciding to come somewhat clean, Hiruzen told Naruto the truth of what happened when he was born. So, you're telling me that it was a 9-tailed fox I saw? Not just a 9-tailed fox, but the Kyuubi. The fourth held a lottery and I was the lucky one to be chosen for his messed up plan. Naruto was understandably angry. Where were my parents in all this? Were they dead or just honored to give their kid as a sacrifice to the great fucking fourth? No my boy, there wasn't a lottery. You were the only one he could choose. The Kyuubi was ripped out of the previous Jinchuriki. Besides you, she was the only one who could safely hold it Naruto, the Sandaime said. Why's that Hokage-sama? Naruto asked. Flinching at the title Hiruzen said, only one from the Uzumaki clan have the special chakra to hold it my boy. A clan? I come from a clan. A fuming Naruto asked, "Why am I only hearing about this now, Hokage-sama? Where are the rest of my clan?" He shouted. "You are all that's left, my boy. Your mother died of having the biju ripped from her, just as one were when it was ripped from you," the Hokage said. "Why?" Naruto asked, pain filling his voice at the news of how his mother died, unshed tears threatening to mar his face. "Why all the subterfuge, Gigi? Was I not worthy of the knowledge of my family?" Guilt and sadness pooled at the Hokage's face, his features showing his age and weakness as he answered, "On the contrary, dear child, you are worthy of everything, it is the villagers that weren't worthy of the knowledge of your heritage." Confusion filled Naruto. "What do you mean, Gigi?" "Naruto, the reason I decided to tell you all this is because I can tell you changed a lot. Besides the physical growth, you grew mentally as well, you seem more mature. So with that in mind, can you truthfully say you would have kept all this to yourself if you didn't go through all this growth?" He asked. Looking back, Naruto had to blush. "No sir, I would have run off and shouted for the whole village to hear. That was the reason for the word games, Naruto. You see, the Uzumaki clan were a feared clan. Shinobi with monstrous chakra capacity compared with other ninja clans. Blessed with otherworldly skills in Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu. And because of this, they were attacked by 3 great villages and wiped from this world. The only ones with Uzumaki blood left are you and Senju Tsunade. Even with her, it's so diluted that all she's inherited from your clan is her temper." "I see. Then bearing in mind my newfound maturity, can you tell me who my father was?" Naruto asked. Licking his lips in nervousness, the Hokage answers, "Your father, Naruto, was Namikaze Minato. The 4th Hokage. Homecoming. Are you kidding me? That bastard is my father." Naruto growled out, "It's not enough I was sacrificed for this village, but to hear that your own father set you up for a tortuous life." Tears were flowing freely from Hiruzen's eyes at seeing the anguished look in Naruto. "Would you be less upset knowing he used someone else's child, Naruto? Would that make you proud?" asked the Sandaime Hokage. That brought a halt to the thoughts running through his mind. Can he acknowledge someone like that? Someone who would rip an unknown child from the arms of his parents, just to sacrifice him to this life? Would the thought filled him with pride? The answer was simple. No, Gigi, I'd be disgusted at the thought of being related to someone so cruel. Naruto finally admitted. "When I think of your family, Naruto, I can't help but be filled with pride. They all died a warrior's death, something all shinobi want. Should we die, let it be by our terms, with no fear, no regrets. I'm actually jealous of them," Hiruzen said. "What do you mean, Gigi? Why would you be jealous?" asked Naruto. "My boy, I haven't been fearless for 11 years. Not since you were born. I have been in fear for your life every single day of your life. Should I die, what is to become of you? Will you be forced into being a mindless killing machine as someone always wanted you to become? Would you be broken and abused to become a shell of a person, or would the villagers finally have their fondest wish granted and have you die like an animal?" Hiruzen confessed. "Why would they be so cruel, Gigi?" Naruto lamented. "People hate that which they don't understand, dear boy," the Hokage admitted. "They have a deep-seated fear of the Kyuubi, not unwarranted, but as you were only the prison to the beast, they'd have only succeeded in hastening their deaths should your death occur and the seal breaks. Even now, they are lobbying your execution at the courts of the daimyo. To be honest with you, Naruto, I have no idea how we will get through this should the daimyo decide you are a danger." The newly matured brain, sculpted by his Uzumaki chakra to think of creative ninjutsu formula, further enhanced by Senju decisiveness and balanced with the Otsutsuki calmness of thinking under pressure, finally came with an answer. "We may not have to worry, Gigi," a smirking Naruto said. "They're lobbying for the death of one, Naruto Uzumaki, orphan Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko." Grinning when he caught on to what Naruto was thinking, "What they do not know is that you're not a Jinchuriki anymore. You're an innocent citizen, even more so, you're the clan heir. Their request will backfire for sure, especially if the daimyo learns that you are a true Uzumaki. For this to work, we'll need someone to prove that I'm no longer a Jinchuriki," Naruto added. "I have the right person in mind already, my boy. Rest up, while I send for him. When I get back, we'll discuss those floating orbs behind your back." At surface level, Jiraiya was a simple man. All he needed in this world were booze, money and women. That's all he ever stood for. Some can even say, the only reason he trained the fourth Hokage was so he could mooch off of the name he would eventually become. Taking credit for shaping Namikaze Minato into an SS-level ninja. There is something wrong with that statement. 1. Jiraiya of the Sannin isn't just a man, he is a shinobi. Someone so complex, it would take a long time to sort through the leaves to the roots to see the tree for what it truly is. Loyal, to the core. Unbending even in the harshest storms of the heart and mind. It takes a lot for a man to sacrifice everything for his home. The only reason he stood rooted to his word till now was for Naruto. His godson, someone who may just as well be seen as his grandson, since he practically made a man of Minato. Now it's time for the tree to pull out its roots, and move on. His godson needed him. When he got the news of what transpired 6 months ago, he was about to desert, so great was his anger at Konoha. Luckily, Enma, the chief of the monkey clan, summons of the Sandaime Hokage, was able to give the whole message. Naruto was alive and well. And needed him more than ever, since the Kyuubi, that could heal the worst of assassination attempts that got through his spy network, was gone. Now, another attempt on his godson's life was in the works. This time, it was a political attempt, but they were ready. When he got inside the Anbu hospital, he was amazed. He couldn't believe that Naruto, from the picture he got 6 months before, was this young man before him. Could someone change this much in 6 months? No longer short, it seems Naruto was set to be taller than his father, already at an impressive 1.72 meters. And weighing an astounding 71 kilogram. It was safe to say, Naruto was going to take after the Uzumaki men. Not monstrously built men, but lithe muscle designed to support the power and speed it takes to swing around swords for hours. Yet they were tall. Uzumaki Garp, when the Senju and Uchiha signed for peace, was said to be as tall as Hashirama and Madara. An old man, nearing the end of his life, crooked and bent by time, was as tall as young men in the peak of their lives. Naruto's growth spurt had made even more of Minato's looks come forth in Naruto. Only the shape of Kushina's eyes remained. The whiskers, what defined Naruto's looks, were completely gone, making Naruto identical to Minato, and those that knew him as a kid would know. Naruto, at first, was pissed off, finding out he had godparents, living godparents. And one was finally going to show his face, but one look at Jiraiya was all it took to see what he meant to the man. When Jiraiya hugged Naruto, he broke down, his body shaking as he cried out his frustration. Finally, after shedding the raw feeling, he began crying tears of joy at finally meeting his godson. Naruto felt a little piece of himself, finally at peace. Then the shocker. So, are you going to tell us what those orbs behind you are? Jiraiya asked Naruto. Naruto explained to them all that happened after his beating, from the Kyuubi being torn from his body to meeting his ancestors. Damn kiddo, you don't do anything halfway, do you? Jiraiya asked, completely baffled. So, what are those things called, and which ancestor gave it to you? These are called truth-seeking balls. Malleable black chakra orbs which can alter their form and characteristics in various ways. They are made up of chakra of all natures, even yin, yang release, Naruto explained. Ever the intellectual, the professor asked, if it's made up of all chakra natures, then why are they black? Or do they change colors depending on the chakra nature? No sir, although they are made up of chakra of all natures, these bad boys are basically a new time-space. So they are literally small balls of space. Naruto admitted smugly. The older shinobi were shocked at this. Which ancestor gave you this much power, Naruto? Sarutobi gasped. A fully grinning Naruto answered, the same one who gifted chakra to the world, Jiji, the sage of the 6 paths, Hagoromo Otsutsuki. The sage of the 6 paths gave you this? A stupefied Jiraiya asked. Yep, he did, a smug Naruto responded. Kid, you're seriously overpowered now, Jiraiya told him, and together with the knowledge to use these powers, you'll be unstoppable. Eventually, Naruto confirmed, but that won't happen for many years. Why is that, Naruto? Jiraiya wondered. I believe it's because he needs experience, am I right, Naruto? The professor asked. Yes, Jiji. Having the knowledge of a jutsu and actually doing the jutsu are two different things. There are jutsu in my subconscious that would drain even my chakra core boosted by Kyuubi chakra, if done without the needed control, Naruto explained. The Otsutsuki and Senju heritage may have given me instinctual control of my chakra, but that means nothing if I can't control the power I need in a jutsu. It will take us 2 days to travel to the capital. Can you get your control up to do the normal jutsu you have by the time we reach the daimyo's castle? Sarutobi asked. Yes, by then I can do the Uzumaki jutsu by heart. Well, the ones meant for Chunin level shinobi at least. Jiraiya, always one for torturing sessions, also known to the weak-minded as training, asked Naruto, have you heard of shadow clones, kiddo? Naruto's eyes glazed for a second, searching his subconscious for the answer. Yes, the Nadime's jutsu. Brilliant. With this, I may reach Jonin level control by then. Then let's go. The capital awaits. Naruto left 50 shadow clones, with orders to go into the Anbu training fields to get the needed control to be able to use the normal jutsu in his arsenal on the level Uzumaki and Senju, Jonin. They had a meeting to interrupt. All's well that ends well. The three ninja made it to the Fire Daimyo's castle that night, having run like madmen when it seemed Naruto had the endurance to keep up with the older men. The next day the citizens of the Land of Fire would bring complaints to the court. Normally the issues of Konoha would be dealt with immediately, and the merchants of Konoha were counting on this fact. They forgot an important aspect. The daimyo is an important figure, and he would only meet immediately with other important figures. Mainly, other daimyo or his Hokage. And when he was told that a delegation from Konohagakure was outside his castle gates, asking for a meeting, but Sarutobi wasn't part of the group. He sent word that he will meet them post-haste. As in, when it is time to meet the citizens. The self-important merchants did not like this at all. How could the daimyo treat them like second-class citizens? They were just as important as the Hokage in their minds. So, as he would meet with the cage when a meeting was called, so should he leap for them. Sadly, this was not the case. They were going to have to wait. And as they were on a very important assignment, and as the Hokage can mess up everything they've worked for, up till now. They were very desperate. Thank you for meeting us so soon, Daimyo-sama. I know you had many things you could have done, and I am grateful that you decided to do this. Sarutobi started. It's fine, Hiruzen. Truthfully, I had nothing to do for 2 days now. The only reason I had my people tell you I'm busy was because the merchants of your village look extremely funny when they are upset, an almost giggly daimyo said. We know, it's an enjoyable part-time of all three of us, the Hokage answered back. Speaking of your companions, Hiruzen. I recognize Jiraiya, a little older than the last time I saw him though, but the other one I don't know. Though, the face is extremely recognizable. Are you perhaps a Senju or Namikaze, boy? The daimyo asked. Naruto stood up and gave a low now. Daimyo-sama, it is an honor to be in your presence. You are correct in your guess. I am both a Senju and a Namikaze, although I am not known by those family names. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Entirely amazed by the manner in which Naruto spoke to the daimyo, Sarutobi and Jiraiya missed the slight narrowing of the daimyo's gaze. Uzumaki, you say? What do you take me for, boy? The daimyo spat. Do you Senju think you can waltz in and take the Uzu seat simply because you are related to them? Not even Tsunade has the right to it. What makes you think you do? Shocked at the tension created, Naruto stuttered out, Daimyo-sama, forgive me for not introducing myself fully. I am Naruto, son of Namikaze Minato, as you guessed, but I carry my mother's family name. I am the son of Uzumaki Kushina, sir. She was the granddaughter of the Uzu daimyo. Is this true, Hiruzen? If so, why was I not told about any of this? An extremely upset daimyo asked. For the same reason I never told a soul that Naruto is the son of Minato. If people found out he was truly an Uzumaki, he would have suffered more assassination attempts than he already has. Kumo would stop at nothing to attempt another kidnapping as they had with Kushina. Misu and Iwa would just do it to be spiteful. And Iwa would look into it deep enough to figure out his Namikaze heritage. Sarutobi clarified. And they haven't already. How could someone not see it? The boy looks exactly like Minato. A stunned daimyo inquired. Sir, it's because 6 months ago, All the people saw was a demon, some were kinder and only saw a Jinchuriki, Naruto told the daimyo. Ah, so that's what you meant by more assassination attempts, the daimyo said. What changed though? As I understand it, a Jinchuriki dies when the Biju is taken out. The Hokage explained what happened 6 months ago, keeping the changes in Naruto and his ancestors out of the explanation. Just as he finished explaining, the doors to the daimyo's private office was forcefully opened. It was the daimyo's son, with the merchants of Konoha smugly following. Finally having an audience with the daimyo, they thought they were one step closer to the total annihilation of the demon brat. As the daimyo's son was partially blocking their view, they couldn't see all the inhabitants of the room. Only one was visible, the target of their hatred, brought to them on a silver platter, as it would seem. There he is, my lord. That's the demon we were talking about. Even now he's trying to influence your father as he has influenced our Hokage. One Gonzo wacko shrieked. What? Guards seize him immediately. Isshin, the son of the daimyo, shouted. On whose orders, son? Have you checked to see if I'm under anyone's control? No, you have not, and what you were about to do could have been a grave mistake, the daimyo said, stopping Isshin. Father, these people are merchants from Konoha. They have been sent by the Hokage when he managed to get free from the influence of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. He asked them to tell you to come to Konoha so they can finally execute the demon. Is that so? Then why didn't their Hokage come here himself? A bemused daimyo asked. He's in the Anbu hospital, daimyo-sama. They won't open for anyone and they are keeping him inside so he can fully heal. That's why we were sent, as his most trustworthy citizens, Gonzo replied, fully believing the daimyo would fall for it. All they needed was for him to execute the demon brat. Now openly amused, the daimyo said, Wow, Hiruzen, you must have grown extremely powerful over time. For you to be so sick and in hospital and here at the same time. Yes, daimyo-sama. Sometimes I surprise myself too, a voice, sounding like their Hokage, replied from around the corner. Now fully entering the room, Isshin, the guards and pale-looking merchants saw the glaring faces of the Sandaime Hokage and the Sannin. Seeing their plan had failed, Gonzo took out a kunai and threw it, not with great accuracy mind you, with the intention to kill Naruto, only for him to catch the badly thrown weapon before it killed the daimyo in whose path it flew. Guards, arrest him. Had it not been for the Uzumaki clan heir, I would have been dead. The daimyo shouted. Uzumaki heir? No, daimyo-sama, you're mistaken. He was given that name. It's not his real name. Gonzo shrieked. Wrong. He is Uzumaki Naruto, son of Uzumaki Kushina, the granddaughter of the deceased Uzukage. The daimyo said coolly, former Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko. No, I refuse to believe that. He is the demon himself. Gonzo shouted. Then the Shidaime Hokage married a demon, and his children and grandchildren were demon spawn. The daimyo asked. What does this have to do about that demon brat being the Kyuubi? One of Gonzo's companion asked. Mito Senju was the very first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, after her was Naruto's mother, the princess of the Uzumaki. So answer me, if Naruto is the Kyuubi just because it is sealed into him, actually, it's not anymore, then Mito Senju and all their children and grandchildren are demons. Is that right? The daimyo asked. No, daimyo-sama, that boy alone is the demon. There's no way he is a true Uzumaki, there are no mention of his parents' names, so he is the demon in human form. The other companies of Gonzo said. There's one way to prove this. The Hokage said, daimyo-sama, besides sealing and kenjutsu, what else was unique to the royal Uzumaki? Oh, this will be a treat, a jovial daimyo said. Uzumaki Naruto, seize those lying bastards. Adamantine sealing chains, Naruto shouted after ordering the clone that practiced that technique to dispel, proving his heritage. The merchants finally admitted defeat. They were going to ask for the execution of a clan heir. They were aware of what was in store for them. Now, take them away, guards. Isshin, stay, I want you to meet Uzumaki Naruto, great-grandson of my friend Uzumaki Kenshin, son of the Red Death, Uzumaki Kushina and the Yellow Flash, Namikaze Minato. Now, hopefully you realize, we have to be sure of our actions. They may carry devastating consequences if our choices are bad ones, the daimyo told his son. Bowing to Naruto, Isshin said, I have no excuses, Uzumaki-sama. Please forgive me for my naivete. Please, Isshin-sama, there's nothing to forgive. You were misled. And please call me Naruto, Naruto pleaded. Then call me Isshin, please. I am only a few years your senior and our families are connected, Isshin replied with a friendly smile. Very well, Isshin, Naruto smiled back. Right then, you kids go out and enjoy yourself. Isshin, show Naruto around. The daimyo said. Thank you, father, Isshin said. Yes, thank you, daimyo-sama, Naruto said. Now that we're alone, tell me everything I need to know, Hiruzen. And leave nothing out, the glaring daimyo told the Hokage. This is going to be a long explanation, Sarutobi and Jiraiya thought with trepidation. Dead whales can't wave back. Naruto and Isshin were walking through the castle halls discussing the lives they've led until this day. Isshin spoke of his sheltered childhood. And how he hated being treated like a glass figurine. He has finally won the chance to be trained by Chiraku, a former member of the 12 Guardian Ninja. You know, Naruto, I was finally able to convince my father to have me trained by one of the former Guardian Ninja that protected him, then I go and mess everything up. If I knew I was being manipulated, I wouldn't have come barging in as I did. Now, father will never let me be trained by Master Chiraku. Isshin confided in Naruto. I wouldn't say that, Isshin. Sure, you allowed yourself to be steered like that, but everyone makes mistakes sooner or later. The fact that you admitted your mistakes must have shown your dad that you're growing, have faith. Naruto proclaimed. That's easy for you to say, Naruto. I bet you've been trained at a young age. Just the way you hold yourself shows you have confidence in your skill. I will never get the chance to learn to defend myself. Isshin let out in self-pity. You couldn't be more wrong, Isshin, Naruto confessed. What you've witnessed today was only the tip of the iceberg. I have led a life of abuse and hatred shown towards me. I have had assassination attempts after assassination attempts, all locally, done by misguided villagers and misled shinobi. In fact, the only reason I have this confidence in myself is because of an attempt on my life that awakened my bloodlines and allowed me to bloom. So trust me when I tell you, Isshin, if you continue to believe in yourself, and refuse to budge. Nothing will keep you from your dream. Believe it. Isshin couldn't help but smile at this. This guy was special. He felt so low after he made that mistake in his father's office, that he believed his dreams were shattered. Now, with only a few words from Naruto, he believed he would fulfill his dreams. There is no doubt that he would. And he met a friend today that would hold him accountable too. A good friend, a true one. Finally, the two friends were walking out of the castle into the garden in the castle grounds when they heard a terrible shrieking. You, what are you doing here? Leave here, move you filth. One of the merchants' wives shrieked, walking towards Isshin and Naruto in laborious steps. When she reached Isshin and Naruto, she put her hand on Naruto's shoulder and pulled hard to throw him on the ground. Tired of always being attacked, he defended himself, swiping her feet from under her. When she fell, she screamed hard and loud. The ninja their group hired to protect them on their trek to the capital attacked Naruto with the intent to incapacitate him. Harshly if they had to. One ninja threw kunai towards Naruto and Isshin to split them apart and get them away from the client. Naruto, knowing Isshin didn't know how to defend himself from kunai, directed one TSB, truth-seeking ball, to intercept the kunai, turning them into dust. Then turned another TSB into Senbon, throwing them with harsh speeds towards all three shinobi. Two got hit and felt the draining effects of the TSB, effectively halting their attack. The last shinobi, thinking that the demon brat poisoned his team members, changing his mission from incapacitating to maim, did hand seals and called out. Fire release. Great fireball technique. Naruto did some seals and called out. Water style. Water wall. Naruto was panicking. This was the first shinobi fight where he defended himself with ninjutsu. And with Isshin here, he couldn't allow himself to lose. Luckily help came from the castle guards. The Konoha ninja was about to attack Naruto with kenjutsu when he found himself restrained. Fighting for release, he turned around to see who the accomplice of the demon brat was. He paled when he saw himself face to face with one Asuma Sarutobi, the son of the Hokage. How much worse could this day become? He thought to himself. What the hell is going on out here? He heard a voice shout. Looking over to the side the voice came from, he got his answer. Hey, Dad, I think this belongs to you, Asuma cheekily called out. He was attacking the son of the daimyo. Luckily Naruto was here to protect him until we came. Why did I have to ask myself that question? The Konoha shinobi lamented. What do you have to say for yourself, Konoha nin? Sarutobi growled at the pale shinobi. Hokage-sama, we weren't attacking the son of the daimyo. We were protecting our client because the Uzumaki-san attacked her, the shinobi told the Hokage. We honestly didn't know the boy was the son of the daimyo, sir. Is it true, Naruto? Did you attack that lady? Sarutobi asked Naruto. No, sir. I was only defending myself when this lady attacked me for no reason, Naruto told the Hokage. You lying filth. How dare you say I was attacking you? I was getting you away from this castle. Who knows what you were planning to do here? The merchant's wife screamed. Enough. You are the filth here. Attacking Uzumaki-sama like you did, disregarding that you were on royal grounds. If it wasn't for Uzumaki-sama here, your guards would have killed us. Isshin told her. Watch how you speak to us, boy. Do you know who we are? The merchant wife's companion yelled. 3 lowlifes who aren't even worth my spit. Isshin growled. I am Oda Isshin, son of the fire daimyo, and the one you stupidly called filth is Uzumaki Naruto, grandson of the deceased whirlpool daimyo. That thing isn't a true Uzumaki Oda-sama, yelled one of the dunce ladies. This thing as you call him is a nobleman, connected to our family through friendship and marriage by our ancestors, and now once again the friendship shared between us. Well said, my boy. If I didn't see the humility you showed inside my office, after you made that error, what I saw now shows me you've finally started to grow up. A very proud daimyo praised Isshin. Blushing from the surprise compliment, Isshin replied bowing, thank you for the praise, father. No thanks needed, son. Well, what are you waiting for? Order the guards to take away the filth, the daimyo said with a grin. But, daimyo-sama, we're not the filth, that boy is. Dunce lady number 1 begged. No, you are the filth. This is truly the clan heir of the Uzu prefecture through his mother, Kushina, whose father was the daimyo. Even though their nation doesn't exist anymore, he's the prince. And all the riches belonging to them that my family have held as his. So how can I call him filth? The daimyo asked. A dejected group, the dunce ladies and shinobi were when they couldn't answer back. They knew they were in big trouble. Even more so, the 3 shinobi, since they didn't receive the mission from the mission room. They only saw money and the chance to kill the demon brat. They believed all would be forgiven when they returned and their superiors found out why they left without permission. Now, they would be lucky to receive a suspension without pay. Especially since the heir of the daimyo was in danger because of them. Guards, take them away, please. I have had enough of them. Isshin ordered. Naruto walked up to Asuma after the guards took their prisoners away and hugged him. Hey kiddo. Long time no see. Asuma said, ruffling Naruto's hair. Man, you've grown huge. What have they been putting in your ramen? He joked. It's just my superior genes at work, uncle. Naruto joked back. I have a feeling you have some tall tales to tell me, Dad, especially since we've already had complaints of a super pervert peeking at the baths. Meaning you've called Jiraiya back. Asuma said to his father. You'd be right. On both counts, Sarutobi replied dryly, taking a kunai and dispelling Jiraiya's sheepish shadow clone with a thrust to the nuts. Naruto and Isshin snickered when they heard anguished shouting coming from where the communal baths were located. The memories from Jiraiya's clone causing him to eep, and thereby giving away his perverted actions. Seems the women of the capital hit just as hard as those in Konoha. Please. Not the face. Not the face. He screamed. No. The face. Please. The face. Have mercy, please. After the group returned inside the castle with a bruised Jiraiya joining them, Naruto told Asuma and Isshin what happened to him to cause the changes, keeping the family secrets to himself. Asuma, though, already knew about his parents, yet was shocked to find out where Naruto got his Senju blood from. Did you know about this, Dad? He asked his father. Of course I did, Asuma. How do you think Minato got the plans for his jutsu? They were blood sealed. Even though she was a Senju, Not even Tsunade could break that seal. Sensei knew he had a daughter. So those scrolls were meant for his descendants. Sarutobi told them, yeah, grandfather even fooled everyone with his cold exterior. He created those shadow clones to fool people, while he spent every bit of time he had with his daughter growing up. Naruto added, when she could understand why all the secrecy, he would take her out to parks so he could play with her, with a henge seal on of course. Naruto's eyes glazed over for a second, after which he added, I don't think my pranking came entirely from my Uzumaki side, Gigi. Amazed by the ingenuity of Tobirama Senju, he asked, why do you say that, Naruto? Naruto's face took on smirk that was entirely too much like his sensei's for comfort. My great-grandfather was working on a seal that would create shadow clones of shadow clones at a fraction of the chakra it normally took. Just create a shadow clone, slap the seal on, and that clone can create as many as the power inside them could make. Problem was, they weren't usable since a clone doesn't has its own subconscious and needed the original to create orders. Seeing that it would only work on creating clones of non-sentient things, he decided to put the seal in the Hokage's official stamp. So every time you stamped an official document, adding chakra to verify it, you've been damning yourself into doing double the work. My father apparently saw through the illusion on his first day as Hokage and put the counter seal on his wrist, canceling the clones. A snickering Naruto finished explaining. With comical tears streaming down his face, shivering bottom lip, Hiruzen Sarutobi fell in his knees with his hands balled in fists and screamed, you bastard, sensei. Jiraiya and the others couldn't keep it in anymore and laughed at the plight of the Sandaime Hokage. Mama drinks because you're bad. In AIM, things weren't going as good as one would have thought it would. When Obito got back to the Akatsuki headquarters, he tried to get the Kyuubi chakra into the husk of the Jubi, a primordial beast that the Kyuubi once formed part of. Problem was, since the Kyuubi chakra was divided, and the yin aspect was inside the belly of the Shinigami, the only thing that kept it on the mortal plane was the seal on Naruto. Since the seal was made with the assistance of the Shinigami herself. Once Obito pulled the yang chakra out of the dimension he stored it in, it faded until nothing was left. When Obito found out, he lashed out in his fury, releasing so much chakra that the Jubi husk started to consume it. Since his chakra was inside Obito through the white Zetsu parts that were embedded in him, not to mention the chakra he inherited from the one who initially stole from the God Tree. Fortunately, Obito got free of the husk's draw. Unfortunately, he set the precedent for the chakra of the Son Goku, Kokuo and Isobu to break out as well and dissipate. Zetsu, on discovering what happened, lost himself in rage, ripping out nearly all of the Zetsu clone parts inside Obito. When he came to, he realized what he had done. Because of what Obito did, they were set back 3 years before they could capture those Biju again. Now, because of his own fury, Obito had to wait for new Zetsu components, since the husk's energy was almost exhausted from the forceful release of the Biju energy it amassed. Obito's would also need physical therapy to get back on the level he was with these implants. All because the child got impatient, Zetsu thought. The threesome, consisting of one academy student, a Sannin and Hokage, elected to get back to Konoha that very day. After the excitement of Naruto's first shinobi brawl at the defense of not only himself but Isshin, the son of the daimyo as well, they were hoping to get home soon. Naruto had to get more familiarity in using jutsu in battles, and with the knowledge of how Tobirama Senju got around, the Hokage will finally have a better time as the Hokage. All I need to do is have Naruto break the blood seal on Sensei's scrolls, and the secret to vanquishing the paperwork nightmare will be mine. Sarutobi thought, running on autopilot since he was deep in thought. He was unaware of the distance being put between himself and his companions, since the dark chuckles he let slip was creeping him out. Man, Gigi has really lost it. Seems the closer we get to Konoha, the more senile he gets, Naruto thought. Sensei, Jiraiya thought, creeped out, we need to get you out of the office more, maybe my new book will cheer you up. Clearing his throat, Sarutobi said, Naruto, when we get back to the village, we should totally get some scrolls out so you can break the blood seals, and train in what we find in it. Perhaps starting with Tobirama Sensei's scrolls. Totally. Naruto thought, his face set in disbelief, he's probably after grandfather's clone seal. Gigi, You do remember that I have all my grandfather's knowledge locked up in my subconscious, right? All I have to do is search for the needed information and I'll have it in a jiffy. He was interrupted when the Hokage started shaking him, a demented glint in his eyes. I need it, my boy. I've got to have it, my precious, Hiruzen snarled, hissing like a viper. Did you just call me your precious Gigi? Naruto asked, his face now set in deadpan. Not you, my boy, Sarutobi replied calmly, his features returned normal, your grandfather's precious seal, his face returning to a snarl. Okay, Naruto said, rolling his eyes, detour. He asked Jiraiya. Definitely, Jiraiya replied, let's see Tanzaku guy, if we're lucky we'll find Tsunade and dupe her into becoming the 5th Hokage. Sounds like a plan, Naruto said, making a clone to put the clone seal on the Hokage. Muahahaha. Finally, I am free. Sarutobi shouted. Yeah, and maybe get her to look into Sensei's mental health as well, Jiraiya said with a giggle. Tanzaku guy. Where all your dreams will come true. Yeah, that doesn't sound like an extortion scheme at all, Naruto thought. Well, Sensei, here we are. Tanzaku guy, home of gambling dens and some of the best brothels a guy could ask for, Jiraiya announced grandly. We're here on business, Jiraiya, and on a deadline. That stone clone I left will be out of chakra by the morning. Let's just find Tsunade and leave. Hiruzen said. It won't be that easy, Sensei. She's bound to be in a casino, and where there's money to be won and booze to be drunk, she'll probably have her claws out, Jiraiya said. If we have to, we'll just kidnap her like that last Sanin mission where she refused to leave Los Nuevo, Hiruzen added. The casino capital. She still drools when it's mentioned. Too bad she lost so much money in that place then threatened to wreck it, Jiraiya shook his head at the memory. Yes, I won. Sweet Ryo come to mama. That would be her, Naruto asked, a sweat drop forming. Yes, she didn't inherit much from the Uzumaki. Some sealing skill, but the temper and exuberance came in abundance, the 3rd Hokage said with a wry grin. Shizune. Tonight we dine like queens. But first, we have to find out who's after me. And pay them back for this large windfall, Tsunade said, a dark grin forming. Sai oke Tsunade-sama. Just don't wreck this place, please. We don't want any trouble from the daimyo again, Shizune said with a cold feeling coming over her. Yeah, a whimpering Tsunade said, I still can't believe that old man can be that scary. No wonder him and Uncle Kenji got along so well. Anyone who could match an Uzumaki like that is a terrifying guy. Anyway, let's go get our loot. Tsunade said, her exuberant feeling back at the thought of the money she won. Not so fast, lady, a voice called from behind them. Turning around, they saw it was the loan shark that they owed money to. Didn't think about slipping away without paying me back, I hope. He said, I'll just take my cut, then leave you old girls to your business. Taking an extra 1,000 in casino chips, he slapped Tsunade's butt and turned around to leave. Not knowing what kind of hurt he is about to be put in. A fuming Tsunade was about to hit the loan shark so hard, he'd spontaneously combust when a hand stopped her fist just in time. If she was annoyed before, she was pissed now, but stopped when she turned to see who was strong enough to catch her fist. Sensei, she said. Hokage-sama, Shizune said. Oink. Taunton grunted. Shit, the loan shark said. Looking at the loan shark, Hiruzen said, as compensation for saving your life, I will take the money you lent one of my shinobi. And for touching one of my subordinates inappropriately, I will be taking all the money you have on you. And your apology to her. Why, yes, sir. Take what you want and thank you for saving me. The loan shark said, turning to Tsunade. He bowed low. Please accept my apology for touching you so inappropriately, ma'am. Then he left in a brisk walk before sprinting away as he turned a corner. Not that I'm not happy to see your sensei, but whatever you're selling, I'm not buying, Tsunade said after staring at the Hokage for a while. Well, we will see, Tsunade. You do remember that I am the Hokage, right? Trained by your grandfather and granduncle? The Hokage asked. Nevertheless, I will not go down quietly. Tsunade growled, and neither Jiraiya or you will leave without debilitating injuries. As you can see, we're not alone, or has all the alcohol messed with your sight? Jiraiya asked her. Scoffing, she answered back, "Who? The guy who's glaring at me. He doesn't look like much. To be honest, the way he's looking at me had me waiting for him to declare that his name's Inigo Montoya or something." Scowling, Naruto bit back, "This is Senju Tsunade, Gigi. All I see is a childish hag, with a badly done Uzumaki Genjutsu seal." Adding with a sneer, "Great Aunt Mito's blood must be boiling in those dry veins of yours." "Who the fuck are you, pipsqueak?" Tsunade snarled at Naruto. "Who he is, depends on your choice, Tsunade. Are you leaving willingly or do I have to spank you like the child you're acting like? I'd like to see you try, especially that nobody over there," she growled back, turning to Naruto, a mocking smirk on her face that changed when Naruto disappeared, reappearing in front of her, his knee lodged into her stomach. The force of the blow made her step back. Seeing a follow-up strike coming for her face, she blocked it, spinning with the momentum. She hit him with the back of her fist. The strike sending Naruto through the wall of the building, into the street. Jiraiya, about to stop her from going after Naruto, was stopped by the Hokage. "Leave him, Jiraiya, he needs to let loose. And she needs to be reminded that looks can be deceiving." Hiruzen said, "If it gets out of hand, I'll stop them." Naruto picked himself up from the paved street, then rolled away just in time to miss a descending leg. When Tsunade's strike hit the ground, the paving cracked. He lunged at her, intending to strike quickly at her face. She blocked his punch and returned her own, which was blocked as well. The two quickly started in on a tactical hand-to-hand fight. With feet added only to trip the other up. Tsunade was finding herself in a fight with the blonde brat that shouldn't be possible. He was meeting her strike for strike. Even if she wasn't adding chakra to her blows, he should be hurting by now. Yet he met her as if they've been sparring like this for ages. As if he knew her style. Getting a front kick in, separating them, she asked, "Hey brat, who taught you my style?" "Your style? You're really full of yourself. This is the Senju knowledge of arms fighting style, created by Senju Butsuma. Not Senju Tsunade," a slightly puffing Naruto replied. "I know that, but how do you know it? Did Jiraiya teach you?" She growled at the remark. "See, there you go again. Did you think you were the only Senju left on this planet?" Naruto mocked. Tsunade has had enough of his smart-ass remarks, lunged back in the fight. "If I have to beat it out of you, I will, but you are going to answer me, brat," she said, but Naruto ducked her wild swing, spinning underneath it until he was almost flush with the ground. Putting his hand on the ground for balance, he kicked over his head, forcing Tsunade to block the blow to her head with her arms crossed. Seeing the ruse had worked, he pushed himself up, spinning into her body, with his elbow striking over her heart. Tsunade reeled with the blow, slightly losing balance. After gaining the balance, she coughed hard. The effects of the blow showing itself in her hand. Tsunade went pale at the sight of the blood and started shaking. Naruto, thinking that his blow hurt her more than it was meant to, went to see if she's alright, but felt a hand gripping his shoulder. Turning around, he saw it was the Hokage, who shook his head. "That's enough, Naruto. Go rest, she won't be able to fight anymore," Sarutobi said. "What's wrong with her, Gigi?" Naruto asked. "She's afraid of the sight of blood, my boy," he said. "Something happened in her past that caused this. Go back inside the casino and give them this money, for the repairs to the casino wall, then book a room for her. Come out of shock. I guess we're not leaving until then." "Alright, Gigi, I will be back in a bit," Naruto said as he left. Hiruzen saw to it that Tsunade was put inside the room. He was going to get to the bottom of Tsunade's rebellious behavior, even if he has to wait her out for the answers. Brainwashing is a cinch. When Tsunade came out of her shock, she found herself laying on a futon inside the hotel area of the casino. She recoiled when a damp towel was placed on her forehead, then saw she was being tended to by her friend and honorary niece, Shizune. They have gone through perdition together, Shizune and her. All because of her egotism. After a while, she heard the door handle to the room turning. It was her sensei. She knew that much, but she had no idea which aspect of her sensei she'd be facing. Was it the scholarly professor, the kind grandfather, or the strict leader? "You can relax, Tsunade. I just want to talk," Hiruzen said. "Ah," she thought, "the kind grandfather. About what, sensei?" "I have nothing to say to you," she replied. "There's that attitude again. What crime have I committed to be treated this way, Tsunade? Hiruzen asked, confused. How about sending my brother to be murdered, you bastard? Tsunade growled. That is a cruel accusation, Tsunade. Why would you think I would do that? Sarutobi asked, a frown on his face. Why, you ask? She spat. You were the Hokage. It was nearing the end of the war, sensei. You assign missions personally during wartime. Well then, Tsunade, let me tell you what happened on that day. We were just coming to the end of Minato's debriefing on what happened between him and the Raikage's son on the Kumo border and were about to make our way to the mission room. Orochimaru was with me when I got the news that the Gold and Silver brothers were attacking inside our borders. Seems the third Raikage didn't take kindly to the news that both his son and their Jinchuriki were bested by one of my Jonin. Sarutobi said my wife, Bawako, had just gone to that border that morning since we were short on medic nin. At the same time, news came that a battalion of 2,000 Iowa shinobi with levels Chunin and upwards were threatening the border our allies share with them. I was soft that day, I know. I didn't want to lose her. My wife was my best friend before I started courting her. So I went with my heart. I told Orochimaru to take over my duties. Minato, bless his soul, told me to not fret about the Iowa border. He would take his Anbu team and destroy them, even if it should taint his heart. So, I left. I ran as fast as I could. Luckily I made it in time but was immediately joined in a fight with those monsters. I didn't have as much chakra since I used a lot to fuel my muscles to run to the border, but with the help of Enma and the timely appearance of Jiraiya, we managed to make them flee, Hiruzen told her. My body was crushed. My chakra was depleted and I fell into a coma. When I came to, I expected to hear bad news about what happened on the Iowa border. What I heard surprised me and unnerved me. For a Jonin to dismantle a 2,000-strong battalion, and force a Kage to submit. I couldn't believe it. Then I heard about your brother. He was too young. No matter the rank, I would have never sent him on an assassination mission with him as the leader. The state of his body showed the barbarity that was used. I was angry to find out that he took the mission after Orochimaru goaded him. Had that not happened, Tsunade, Orochimaru would have been the fourth Hokage. I actually had the documents signed already. I was waiting to surprise the man I thought of as a son. That he would be so callous with his subordinates, one being his teammate's little brother, made me question his integrity. Problem was, I needed a successor. So I appointed Minato. He made a promise, and he did what he said he would. And not one of his team was sacrificed for it. Now, I just had to heal. Both my body and my heart was broken that day. Tsunade, though the anger left her, sneered at that statement. You didn't lose anyone that day. What would have you so heartbroken? She scowled. Did you really forget, Tsunade? Naoki was my godson. I trained him, together with Asuma, not because he was my sensei's grandson. I did it because it was my duty as a godfather, he said. Tsunade was shocked. She honestly forgot about that. She was confused as well. How could she forget that? She clearly remembers her sensei spending more time at her parents' home than was normal for an instructor, then as the Hokage. And he spent most of it, talking to Naoki, him and Asuma playing together. Hiruzen was thinking the same thing. Something was not right. I ask you again, Tsunade, who told you that I sent Naoki to his death? He asked. Tsunade grabbed her head. Overwhelming pain centered on her forehead flooded her. What's wrong with her, seal? Why can't she think back to that day? I can't remember, sensei. All I remember is the grief and anger. She bit out through the cloud of pain that covered her being. Jiraiya, come out, I know you're there, he ordered. Jiraiya phased into visibility after canceling his invisibility jutsu and immediately checked Tsunade. She's not under any genjutsu, sir. Not that I could tell. He answered. Shizune, check her brain patterns for irregularities. This could be an Uchiha genjutsu. Shizune checked her master and replied, her patterns are normal, Jiraiya-sama, but she's under immense stress. She may pass out any moment, she told them, her face set in concern for her friend. Jiraiya went through some hand seals ending on the boar seal, hovered his hand over Tsunade's brius and whispered out. Uzumaki's sacred technique. Akaraka ni Suru. Pouring a lot of chakra into the technique, he slowly lifted his hand. Seals lifted from behind the brius bone. Jiraiya swore when he read what it did. These are Uzumaki Genjutsu seals, corrupted with another one, I've never seen before. But from what I can see, it can be cancelled with another technique from the Uzumaki. Are you sure, Jiraiya? When he saw him nodding, he said, very well, go ahead. Jiraiya again went through hand seals. Numbering 50 when a hand with a very firm grip stopped him from completing the jutsu. Naruto, what hell did you stop me for? Sealing is a very delicate art. If I was interrupted at the wrong moment, Tsunade could have been killed. He growled, extremely pissed. I realize that, but you were about to make a grave mistake based on an assumption, Naruto said. What are you talking about? I know what I am doing, Jiraiya snarled. You just said you've never seen the second seal before. Then assumed that it would be lifted when the Uzumaki seal broke. Naruto corrected him calmly. I know what the other seal does, and if you completed that jutsu, you would have killed all of us while leveling this town also. Jiraiya was shaken. Sure, he didn't know what the other seal was, but it wasn't connected to any power source that could deal that much damage. Okay, Naruto, what do you know of this seal? Sarutobi asked. It's an experimental seal my grandfather created, Gigi. It was meant to piggyback on other seals, more powerful. Filled with suggestions, it would alter the real seal. Like a virus, it could change it to whatever the creator of the experimental seal wanted. He explained, it failed when Great Aunt Mito showed him that an Uzumaki genin, just starting to learn seals, could break it. Then why did you stop me, Naruto? Jiraiya asked. Because whoever put this seal on Tsunade, completed it. All it needed was its own, powerful battery to work. Here, he pointed out to the still hovering projection of the seals. The seal bonded itself, but it's meant to throw you off. It connected a thin chakra string to something else, something powerful enough to support it. What is it connected to, Naruto-san? Shizune asked him, tears streaming down her face at the pain her friend was in. The strength of 100 seal, Naruto answered, I will have to break the seal. No, Naruto-san, Tsunade-sama has been chakra into that seal for over 20 years. For all of it to be lost. Shizune said. Then Naruto interrupted her. Would you rather have your sensei die? There's no way of knowing what suggestions the creator of the seal implanted. Shizune sadly lowered her gaze to the floor. Do it, a gravelly voice said. I don't know who you are, or how you know so much of my clans, but I want to say sorry for whatever I said out there. You clearly were under someone's influence. Who knows for how long. So I forgive you for everything you've done. It's fine, Auntie, Naruto said with a warm smile, shocking Tsunade and Shizune. He went through 30 seals, pouring precisely measured chakra in every seal, then had an idea and brought a TSB around and hollowed it. Uzumaki sealing technique. Kai. An immense pressure filled the room as the seal on Tsunade's forehead broke and the chakra was released. Naruto brought his TSB around and using its chakra draining ability, took all the chakra of the seal into it. Naruto puffing a bit did another 50 seals, the ones Jiraiya was going to do. Uzumaki sealing technique. Fuzukuru na. The seals on Tsunade lifted immediately, vanishing into thin air. Tsunade's facial expressions relaxed, she fell into a healing sleep. Hiruzen Sarutobi was baffled, so was Shizune. Shizune because she didn't think Naruto would be able to do sealing jutsu of this level. He looked very young despite his height. One thing she knew, the one who created that last technique had a real potty mouth. Jiraiya, do you know the name of the Uzumaki child? Mito-sama had asked to break Tobirama's seal. Sarutobi asked though he was sure he didn't want to know. One Kenshin Uzumaki, uncle of Kushina, another foul-mouthed Uzumaki, Jiraiya said giggling. It had to be him, Sarutobi thought. F is for. Well well, look who's back, Naruto heard, wakey wakey, eggs and bakey. The voice whispered. Naruto jerked awake and found himself lying at the foot of an old shrine. He stood and saw the Uzumaki swirl decorating the top of the shrine. Beautiful, isn't it? This is a shrine built by your great-uncle Kenshin. He was a bit. He inherited a lot of our family quirks. Took to the old lady, I guess, the voice said. Naruto turned around and saw Narita standing there. She was dressed in flowing robes, churning whirlpools in its design. Ancestor, he said bowing deeply, to what do I owe the honor? he started saying till Naruto's fist met his head. Is that any way to greet your Uzumaki ancestor? She wailed. I guess not, Naruto said, sup ba-chan. He greeted her with a grin. A tick appeared on her forehead. You're pushing it with the ba-chan comment, but that was much better. Naruto said. Seriously though, what are you doing here? Naruto asked. Naruto peered at Naruto and asked, have you been having trouble with your chakra lately? Well, now that you mention it, yes I have. Since after my fight with those shinobi the merchants, hags had with them. Then when I added Aunt Tsunade's chakra to my truth-seeking ball, my core just started wobbling, Naruto answered. Well, just don't do anything strenuous for the day, she told him, your chakra is merging with the gifts Ashura and I left you, and it will make your control lose and gain balance in weird intervals. Damn, we still have to get back to Konoha by tomorrow morning. So I'll probably have to add chakra to my leg muscles again to keep up, Naruto said with a whine. Quit whining. Just ask Jiraiya to carry you. Naruto said, and after you give back Tsunade's chakra the fluctuations wouldn't be so bad. So don't touch your own for the day and you'll be fine. Naruto had a feeling there was more and asked, what aren't you telling me ba-chan? Well, it's not just the ancestral chakra that's merging with yours, Naruto said sheepishly, when Kurama, the nine tails got ripped out of you, something happened that wasn't foreseen. Oh boy, Naruto said sitting down, his knees feeling weak all of a sudden, I'm not gonna grow any tails am I? Or fox ears, how would I hide those? Oh man, fox feet. I'd rip my bedsheets apart. What the hell would I even? Naruto started panicking until Naruto's fist met his cranium once again. None of that's gonna happen. Now, will you please shut up and let me explain? Naruto shouted. Same as last time, I do not have enough chakra to stay on this plane, Naruto nodded quickly so she continued. Right, so the seal your father designed was supposed to take 9 tails worth of chakra and make it into your own after a while, keeping the biju locked inside you, for rainy days so to speak, Naruto explained. Naruto's eyes bulged at the news. Was his dad crazy? He thought. He probably felt something huge was on the way and wanted you protected. What he didn't count on was Kurama getting yanked out of you before the plan was fully realized. So when the biju was yanked out, you were left with a huge amount of power in a body that can't hold it. So your chakra core is out of control and at risk of rupturing. Naruto was growing pale by this time. His eyes resigned to his awaiting death. A hand came and lifted his chin, then Naruto cupped his cheek. Her pale purple eyes staring into his own eyes. Don't fret ma, boy, she said with a smile, it would have been nastier if we didn't meet up with you. Now, if you only listened to your stunning ancestor, you'd be fine. We gave you our chakra, remember? Strengthening the already bitchin' regeneration factor that you got from your mom and adding the chakra your dad for some reason couldn't pass on, this little problem won't keep you down, she added, hugging him. Naruto, grateful at the words and gesture, hugged her back and gleamed. He stood up with a grin and said, believe it, ba-chan. With a thumbs up, now be a good boy kiddo. She said, vanishing. The mark is almost gone, Jiraiya-sama. He heard Shizune say, 20 years worth of chakra that could have done worlds of good, gone forever. Whoever put that seal on Tsunade-sama probably counted on that too. Don't worry, Shizune. She's resourceful, she probably had a plan B for this, Jiraiya's voice said. No, Jiraiya, a cracking voice joined. Tsunade, that was my ultimate plan. If something happened to my loved ones, I'd have enough chakra to save them this time. Now, it's gone, Tsunade said with a sob. Not really, Naruto said, getting up from the futon he found himself laying on. Easy, Naruto, you blacked after you expelled that last seal, Jiraiya said, helping him up. What do you mean, Naruto? Shizune asked. When you released the strength of 100 seal, the chakra just vanished. Not vanished, it disappeared. I thought you saved up so much chakra for a reason, so I used my truth-seeking ball to suck it up and purify it better than the seal could, he said with a grin. Naruto, that's brilliant, Jiraiya said with a grin. And seeing that the seal is still there, the mark is little translucent without the chakra keeping it there, all I have to do is inject it back, Naruto said, a look of concentration on his face. The TSB containing Tsunade's chakra floated down until it rested on her forehead, over the seal. Shining a brilliant white, it started sending the chakra it contained, flowing back into the seal, strengthening it back to perfection. Tsunade felt her energy returning after the process was complete. Thanks, Naruto, she said, stood up and hugged him. Sorry for running out on you and subjecting you to such a harsh life. I forgive you, Auntie. Like I said, you were being influenced by whoever it was that branded you with that seal, Naruto replied. Tsunade then bussed him on his forehead. Turning when they heard the door open, they met the face of the Hokage. I see you're awake, Tsunade. I didn't think you would have any energy left. I was about to tell Jiraiya that I was going on without you. I have to get back to Konoha before the clone I left dispels, he said. Naruto stored the chakra I had in the seal in one of his magic balls and put it back in before the seal totally vanished, Tsunade said, elbowing Jiraiya when she realized, with a mad blush, what she had said. The Hokage smiled and added, managing to knock himself out again. Tsunade looked down and saw Naruto had fallen asleep in her embrace, a smile on his face. She smiled as well and said, We're going with you, sensei. Jiraiya can carry Naruto. Why me? He asked. 'Cause I said so, she replied, cracking her knuckles. Do you have an issue with that? No Heim. I treasure carrying Naruto, he said, sweat dripping down his back. Thought so, she said with a smirk. Well, what are we waiting for? I have some sufferers to put in traction. There aren't such serious injuries in the village, Tsunade, Sarutobi informed her. Not yet, you mean. Hiruzen impaled at that, then remembered what Naruto went through. Just don't murder anyone, he told her. The group entered the gates of Konoha just in time. The Hokage was just telling Izumo to remind Kogetsu that him leaving the village should be kept secret, when the memory from his clone filled his subconscious. Are you okay, Hokage-sama? Izumo asked. Yes, my boy, I'm fine. I just remembered that Kogetsu had a fondness for a certain, perverted book. Turning to Jiraiya he said, Jiraiya, since you are the spy master and author of said book, if you find out Kogetsu leaked our secret, ban him. Smirking Jiraiya said, Yes sensei, with pleasure. No need for such extreme measures, Hokage-sama. My lips are sealed. What secret are you talking about? I have no idea, Kogetsu said, sweating at the threat. At ease, Kogetsu, the Hokage said, smiling warmly. Well, gentlemen, I will be seeing you. The villagers were gawking at the Hokage walking by them, two of the Sannin following with the slug Sannin's apprentice. Senju Tsunade's return brought elation to many hearts. Then they saw who or what the toad sage was carrying, shouts that just a minute ago went, Welcome back, Jiraiya-sama. And, we missed you, Tsunade-sama. Change to, what is that freak doing on Jiraiya-sama's back? And, I hope they kill him finally. Jiraiya was trembling in his fury. Tsunade was beyond pissed off. This wasn't only her godchild, but her blood-related kin. This won't stand, Tsunade thought. A middle-aged man who thought himself a champion was brave enough to pick up a loose brick, laying beside the paved road and threw it at a still-sleeping Naruto. Tsunade caught the brick and threw it with enraged strength, back at the man. The villagers were shocked. When the brick hit the man, his head burst like a watermelon filled with exploding tags. The people that stood near the man, and a while ago was cheering at him, were aghast at the sight. Covered in his warm blood and bits of flesh and bone. In the silence, Tsunade said, Let this be a lesson to anyone who thinks it's okay to hurt my godchild. I'm not here to cater to you filthy bastards. I came back for Naruto. But Lady Tsunade, that's a demon, not an actual human, a woman said shakily. Shocked at what she just heard and witnessed. Says who? Or any of you demonologists, Tsunade asked sweetly. No. Even if the Kyuubi was sealed inside Naruto, which won't make him the first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, by the way. None of you are seal masters. So how can you say he's the Kyuubi or possessed by the beast? You can't, you ignorant shits. She screamed. Now move before the hospital and morgue are filled with your bodies. The shocked villagers opened a path for the group. Too horrified to care about the threat Tsunade just gave them. Were they wrong to hate the boy, all along? A shinobi, wrapped in a black cloak with a mask on his face, stood from the place he'd hid. He had to get this report to his master. Senju Tsunade and Jiraiya of the Sannin were back. And it seems the Kyuubi Jinchuriki got some backers as well. Religion and rectal probes. Good work. You may return to the barracks, a voice said. No use in following them, they would find you and then Hiruzen will come after us. Tsunade is too skilled as a censor. Yes, Danzo-sama, the root shinobi said, turning around quickly and leaving the secret underground office of Danzo Shimura. So you're gathering allies, Hiruzen. The last Senju and the only sage, Danzo said to himself, I wonder why you felt to call in Jiraiya. And why you didn't stop that girl from claiming the Jinchuriki as her godson. This will mess with my plans, but a little wrench won't stop it from coming into fruition, he finished. You're telling me that we've been doing things the incorrect way all this time? Kisame growled. Yes, it seems that the data we had was meant to prank anyone who would think of uniting the portions of the Jubi, Pain told Kisame. So we were supposed to add the Biju chakra in numerical order? Itachi asked. Yes, so it seems, Pain answered. Not by the order of how many times the false god Kami fucking needed the noodles of relativity or whatever, for the holy broth which makes up space as written in the holy scriptures of ramen. Hidan asked. No, Pain answered morosely. What made you realize this? Was it the fact that it said Kami created noodles and broth to make space? Kisame growled. Who the hell would believe that shit anyway? Everyone knows it's called string theory, not noodle theory like it's inscribed in that book. Kami made ramen. Ha. Highly debatable. It's not that unthinkable, is it? Pain asked in a fragile voice no one heard as the room's other inhabitants started to get rowdy. We should burn that heretic book. Hidan shouted through the noise, then he started doing hand seals for a fire jutsu. He was interrupted with a Shinra Tensai, violently hurling Hidan into the granite wall of the room. The room went quiet when Pain called. Bansho Tenon. Calling the book into his hands, where he proceeded to stroke it reverently before throwing a vicious look at the rest of Akatsuki. Meeting over, Pain said, handing over the book to his female aspect so she could flounce off to put the book in a safe place. Pain then also left. In the silence of the room, Kisame felt compelled to ask. Anyone by chance see who the writer of that book was? Under the title of the book was written, The Great and Sexy Naruto Otsutsuki, to be used and preserved by all Ma-Bichin Uzumaki babies, sow chaos into the world. Itachi answered him, Otsutsuki. Seems those legend were not my they after all. The three clans are related, he thought. Mental, the whole rotten lot of them. Kakazu said, let's hope every one of them perished in that attack. Itachi, remembering a small blonde boy, with the propensity to sow chaos without really trying, kept his mouth shut. No need to tell them they missed one. Dread filled him then, what would come to pass if an Uzumaki had all three bloodlines or family jutsu? Best not dwell on that. Entering the tower where the Hokage's office was located, they were met by two of the three elder council. They were happy to have the two Sannin on Konohan soil once again but upset about Naruto being with them. It's good to see you again, Tsunade, Jiraiya. Konoha just wasn't the same without your leadership. We've been having problems with chaotic citizens as well, Jiraiya, wanting to throw our way of life into chaos. That thing in your arms is the main threat though. Koharu said pointing at Naruto. Jiraiya making as if he was looking for something asked, what thing are you talking about? Tsunade could be seen reddening in her face and Shizune was getting visibly upset as well. That boy, for the lack of a better word, that you're holding, Homura snarled out. Isn't a thing at all, Tsunade spat. In fact, the only things I can see are you two fossils. Raging and spitting, Koharu turned to the third Hokage. Hiruzen, aren't you going to reprimand your student? The third kept silent. He was wearing his white cloak and hat of office, an air of confusion could be seen over him. Well, Hiruzen, when will you be acting like the Hokage you're meant to be? Homura asked. Oh, were you talking to me? I was waiting for this Hiruzen to answer, he said. You are Hiruzen, Koharu shouted, then was slammed into the wall behind her, a sword placed at her jugular. No, I am not, the Hokage answered. As you can see, I am wearing my cloak and hat. Signifying that I am the Hokage, the leader of this village. When I am in this building, sitting on that chair in my office. I cease to be a friend, brother or father. I am to be called Hokage-sama by my subordinates, or Hokage-dun. When I take off this cloak and leave this building, I am Sarutobi-sama, the head of my clan or Jiji to my grandchildren, Naruto being an adopted one. I am no one's lapdog, I am not to be trifled with. And if you want to continue living on this plane, you'd best remember that. He finished in a snarl. Koharu and Homura were taken back by this new Hiruzen. Not once, since taking the title, has he spoken to them like that. And they have been taking advantage of that. They knew one day he would snap. They knew he was formidable, but they seemed immune. His teammates. Something has changed and they believed that the demon had something to do with it. Bowing, Homura said, "Please forgive my fellow elder for her lapse of judgment Hokage-sama." He remained in the bow. Signaling his Anbu to let Koharu go, he said, "Let this be the last chance you detain San." Bowing herself, she also asked forgiveness. "It doesn't change the fact that this boy is dangerous Hokage-sama." Koharu tried again. "Of course he is dangerous," he said, bringing a smile on his former teammates' faces. His whole clan were dangerous, even when facing the overwhelming odds of Kiri, Iwa and Kumo Shinobi at their doorstep, they didn't back down. "What are you talking about, Hiru Hokage-sama?" Homura said roughly but switched to a softer tone when the Anbu got visible again. "That boy isn't a true Uzumaki, he was bright blonde hair and blue eyes. Those aren't characteristics of that clan. And if you were going to put his chakra level as proof, don't bother. We all know where he got that from." Koharu added. "Oh, we all know. You know nothing," Sarutobi said. "Tell me, Koharu, are you still able to sense chakra levels?" When she nodded, he asked, "Tell me, is Naruto's chakra level still the same as it was?" Koharu had an intense look of concentration on her face. She started paling after a minute, for some reason. Sweat rolling down her face. Her hands shaking uncontrollably. Homura, growing concerned, led her to a chair inside Hokage's office, the rest following them inside. "What is happening to her?" he asked. "She's beginning to realize how wrong this village was," Hiruzen said. "What do you mean? He's only a Jinchuriki." Homura growled, not caring anymore. "No, he was an innocent boy. Starved and abused by those he was protecting," the Hokage said. "Was? What do you mean, was? What changed?" Homura asked. "That last beating he received left him open. Someone, an Uchiha claiming to Madara, came into the hospital room he was laying in and pulled the Kyuubi out," the Hokage confessed. "What nonsense are you spewing? The host dies when the Biju is extracted." Homura growled. "Unless you are an Uzumaki," Tsunade answered him. Koharu by this time was getting out of her shock. "It's true, it's all true," she said. "What have we done?" she said with a sob. "What do you mean? What's true, Koharu?" Homura was getting upset at seeing his friend like this. "There's only specks of red chakra, Homura. Not the ocean of demon chakra I told about. All that's there is the dark dense blue that all Uzumaki have, in a lighter but just as dense blue, but they're merging. No Biju chakra means no Biju," she cried out. "So, that lighter chakra could be the Biju chakra. They could be tricking you. The only clans that have chakra as dense as you're saying are that Senju and Uzumaki. He may be related to the Uzumaki, but that doesn't mean he has Senju blood as well." Homura denied. "Unless he is a true Senju as well," Tsunade said, glaring at Homura and Koharu. "How? That can't be possible. Your aunt died without issue. And you are the only Senju left from your father's side." Nawaki had no offspring, his balls had barely dropped. Homura said, "And Sensei was too honorable to have children out of wedlock." "You say that as if you knew Sensei's whole life." Hiruzen said with a smirk. "Sensei did have a secret child. She's the reason he created Kage Bunshin, so he could spend all his time with her. Naruto is the great-grandson of Tobirama Senju through his father." "And what was his father's name?" Homura asked. "Nanaya," Naruto said, finally waking up from his healing sleep. "What kind of name is that?" "Senju Nanaya." Seeing Jiraiya and Tsunade barely holding their laughter, he growled, "You better not be playing around with me. His name was Nanaya business, you have been. Just 'cause you're an elder doesn't mean you deserve respect. And family secrets belong with family." Tsunade and Jiraiya were laughing at the face of Homura. Koharu wasn't feeling jubilant at all. Please forgive me, Naruto, for all I have done to you. She shouted on her knees. Uzumaki-san, he said with a blank face. What? She said. Uzumaki-san, only those dear to me get to call me by my name until I take over as clan head, then it will be Uzumaki-sama to you sin 3 my clan outtranks yours. Very well, she said bowing deeply. What? Koharu, you can't let this piece of shit get away with this. Homura said. That's the last thing he would say that day, since he felt a boot to his face, courtesy of Jiraiya. Koharu left immediately after when the Hokage dismissed her. A shameful look on her face. The Anbu took Homura to the public hospital, dumping him without care. After the elderly elders left, one by herself, the other with the help of the Anbu. The 4 shinobi started planning for the future. They weren't going to let Naruto suffer anymore. For that to happen, Naruto would have to shed his, hypothetical, skin. No more pranks, no more acting like an idiot. Naruto reminded them that the fault doesn't only belong to him, but the teacher sabotaged him as well. The Hokage was mad at hearing this, so he called in Iruka, Naruto's class teacher, and the Jonin in charge was called in as well. Immediately after entering, they went to their knees. Hokage-sama, is there a reason you called myself and my teacher in? The JIC asked, nearly ordered for the Hokage to give a reason. Anbu. The Hokage called. Immediately responding, the Anbu bound the JIC. I called, because I have been getting troubling news. The professor started explaining what he heard. Iruka at hearing this grew quiet. Is this why he was doing so poorly? All the sabotage must have put him off truly trying, he thought. Lord Hokage, I admit we've been favoring the clan hairs a bit, but the rest of the students get the same education. Only that boy gets subpar education or simply gets kicked out. We can't have the beast getting any more powerful. The JIC said, gritting his teeth. Iruka was appalled by the blatant disregard to Naruto's humanity. Sure, at first he also thought the boy was the Kyuubi in human skin, but after seeing the seal and learning about it from the Hokage, he realized how wrong they were. This is not for you to decide, Jonin. Jiraiya said. With all due respect, Jiraiya-sama, but the academy is mine, and I run it as I see fit. The JIC shouted. No, Jonin, the academy is mine, and you are just in charge of running it. You are mine as well, my subordinate, and should you oppose me, and this village's ideals like this again, your life is forfeit. The Hokage said coldly. The Jonin in charge thought he would be dealing with a frail old man like the elders of the council said. Boy, was he wrong. Trying again, he asked, Sir, why do you think he is more important than the clan heirs? The boy is a nobody after all. Jiraiya was very upset by now and said, This is my godson, and the godson of Tsunade. Besides that, he is the Uzumaki clan heir and the Senju clan heir. That red swirl you wear so proudly on your Jonin vest is the Uzumaki clan symbol, colored red to symbolize the sacrifice to us they made and are admitting that we failed them. He growled out. Tsunade's grandmother, the Shadaime's wife, was an Uzumaki. They are the oldest clan, older than that Uchiha's you cater to. He can't be Jiraiya-sama. He's just the Kyuubi given flesh, the JIC whimpered out. Yanking Naruto's top up, he shouted, Guess again. No seal, and the Kyuubi isn't attacking. What does this tell you? Miserable and humbled, the Jonin answered, he was never the Kyuubi. Damn right, Jiraiya said. Starting tomorrow you favor no one. If I hear Naruto's education is suffering because of you, I will execute you myself. Understood. The Hokage ordered. Yes, Hokage-sama. Iruka and the JIC shouted. Dismissed. The Hokage said. When the academy teachers left, Hiruzen turned to Naruto and said, Show them how wrong they were, my boy. Go and get some sleep. You have a long day tomorrow. Naruto left with Shizune to fetch what little clothes he had left, that wasn't burned by the villagers by now. Tsunade and Jiraiya were asked to stay a while. The Hokage had something to discuss with them. He ordered his Anbu to keep Shizune and Naruto protected. Tsunade, the Hokage answered, I want you to take over as Hokage. I am aged, and probably don't have much time left in this world. Sir, I don't want to be Hokage to this despicable village, she said, very upset. It won't be for long, dear. And it won't be now. For now I want you to concentrate on getting the medics in order and taught better. Start with a full exam for Homura to see what they do wrong, he said with a grin. Fine sensei, Tsunade sighed. Jiraiya, get the wall guards in shape. Test how attentive they are and test the seals protecting the wall. I have a feeling some of the seals have been compromised, he told Jiraiya. Yes sir, Jiraiya said. Good. Dismissed. The Hokage said. Check. Danzo, what will you do now? My king is being safeguarded on all sides now, Sarutobi thought as he puffed at his pipe. If the devil made you do it, ya blew it. Morning came much too soon for Naruto. The night before was like a dream for the preteen. After Tsunade and Jiraiya met up with him and Shizune, Tsunade showed them all to the Senju clan compound. Down its hall, that had doors going into a sitting area and dining area, he couldn't see many pictures and portraits of former clan heads, the Kages and their wives. After dinner, he went to bath and for the first time had someone helping him. He was shocked at first, but Tsunade said it was a right for the young men to bathe with older family members. Primarily those that would become shinobi, so that they become accustomed to seeing the female body and won't become seduced easily. It meant a lot to him, and he could feel a close bond forming between them. And so with a warm smile, she sent him off to bed. He wasn't looking forward to the academy. 3 years of humiliation, neglect and abuse at school would do that to you. He was sure there would be a lot of jeering at him missing school. No one would ask why he missed school, they'd simply assume he skipped because he's a bad kid. It's not like they know me, he thought, they only know the dumb orphan kid, that adults sometimes call a demon when they're whispering. Naruto, come to eat, you have to go soon or you'll be late, Tsunade exclaimed. Naruto grinned, the last few days have been filled with first for him. First time having a father figure, first friend, first true fight, the first time someone stood up for him, first mother figure, the first time he did seals and the first time someone attended to him. Life could only get better now, he thought as he walked to the family kitchen, dining area. First time someone made him breakfast, he told himself, feeling the heat fill him again after he ate his breakfast, he jumped up and said bye, running off before being stopped and pulled back into a hug. Have a great day Naruto. Tsunade told him. First time someone saw him off, a smile appeared on his face. Yes auntie, he yelled, joyous tears in his eyes. Reaching the academy building didn't take long, although it was long enough for his smile to almost cease. They were scowling at him again. Angry, hate-filled eyes, mixed in with miserable gazes. He was reminded of the differences between Konoha and the capital. The people of the capital didn't lose as much as them, he thought. Just when the stares were becoming too much for him, he felt a delicate hand on his shoulder. It was Shizune. Naruto was confused as to why she came. Shizune was glad she ran after Naruto to give him his lunch. The villagers were making him distressed again. You won't make it through the day without lunch, Naruto. Here, I made this bento for you, she said. Thank you so much, Shizune, he said with a small stutter. Things have been going so wonderful for me, now I'm back to endure this hatred. Shizune hugged him gently. Only now you have family in your corner, she said. Naruto's smile soon was back to its true brilliance. Thank you Oni-chan, he said. You, someone exclaimed. Stay away from that boy, he'll only bring you pain. Shizune turned a glare towards the man who spoke to them, seeing a shinobi wearing a Chunin vest staring at them. Best come with me miss, he said smugly, believing he hurt Naruto by making her hate him. He went to take her by the hand only to have someone grip his wrist. And why would she be going with you? The person that gripped him said. To get away from this little monster. Now let go you. He started saying with an angry glare in his eyes at being interrupted only to change it to fear. Lord Jiraiya. He whimpered. And you'd be the one brave enough to face this monster? Jiraiya inquired innocently. Why yes Jiraiya-sama. The man said, his fearful stutter slowly changing back to arrogance. I have been keeping all the pretty women away from this demon, he bragged. He thought since Jiraiya was a known pervert he would appreciate that. May I know the name of such a brave shinobi then? Jiraiya asked. Mizuki sir, he said with a smirk. I teach at the academy where this thing sadly also happens to study at. Mizuki. What would you say to a no-holds-barred fight between you and me? Jiraiya asked. You see, my student Minato and I would have these fights, back when he was still alive, where we fought with the intention to do harm. Now that he's not here anymore, I feel myself slipping, growing rusty. Mizuki by now has grown very pale. The people surrounding them surprised at the confession but kept listening. Seeing as you're brave enough to go against the very demon that killed him, it would mean that you are more powerful than the fourth. So let's go, we'll fight in the forest of death. Seems apt, don't you agree? Jiraiya finished saying. No, sir, I can't fight you. Mizuki screamed, I'm not as powerful as the fourth. Then, how could you fight a demon to save pretty ladies? Unless, Jiraiya said. Unless what sir? Mizuki stuttered out. Unless he's not the Kyuubi. Tell me, has he retaliated before? Jiraiya asked. He pulls tricks on anyone that was terrible to him, sir, Mizuki said. Anyone die from these pranks? Jiraiya asked. No, sir. Never, Mizuki answered. Does that seem like something a demon would do? Jiraiya asked. He's just waiting for the right time, sir. Mizuki shouted. Waiting for almost 12 years. If I was a demon, powerful enough to knock down mountains with my tail, why would I wait to destroy the village that abuses me? The only one that challenged me is dead. Jiraiya asked. This made the villagers step back and really look at the situation. All these years of abuse and all the boy they thought of as a demon does is paint a store or set off stink bombs. This isn't what demons would do, is it? Granted that kitsune are pranksters, but not when their lives were threatened. I think you know that he isn't a monster. You just get your rocks off by threatening orphan boys. Well, those days are over. Jiraiya snarled at everyone listening and made a sign. 2 Anbu showed up and bound the academy teacher's wrists. Chunin Mizuki, come with us. They said, then left with a shunshin. Jiraiya turned to Naruto and smiled. He pulled him into a hug which Naruto returned, have a great day kiddo. He said, and show them what the Uzumaki clan does when challenged. Sow chaos into the world. Believe it. Naruto returned with a demented grin then ran off with his lunch. Almost feel sorry for his teacher Shizune, Jiraiya said after he realized he basically gave Naruto the green light. Yes, me too, sir. Well, best we inform the Yamanaka about the possible influx of patients, Shizune said with a sigh. They have it coming though. Yes. Boo-hoo for them, Jiraiya smirked. Let's go back to the compound and inform Tsunade. When Naruto entered his usual classroom, his classmates immediately stopped their chatter. Naruto wasn't dressed in his usual clothes. He was wearing a black shirt with a white swirl, dark blue pants and sandals. No goggles on his forehead. A totally different sight from what they're used to. They thought it was a new student at first but were shocked to see it was Naruto. Thereupon the shock left them and they started jeering. New clothes. No matter how you dress him, a loser stays a loser, one yelled. I wonder where they found the freak, another asked. Konoha called and wanted their idiot back, a student with pink hair shouted. That one was really funny, Sakura, Ino said. Almost the whole classroom started laughing at him while he kept quiet and scrutinized them. He slowly scanned the room to see who were in on this and who could become his comrades. He spotted Aburame Shino eyeing him quietly, Inuzuka Kiba frowning at the class, Nara Shikamaru lifting his head to scowl at Ino and Hinata watching him with sad eyes and balled-up fists. Guess I'm not loathed as much as I thought after all, he speculated with a smile, something to look forward to then. Hey idiot, what are you smiling at? Did you have a fart or something? The Uchiha smirked. Oh Sasuke, that was brilliant. Sakura and Ino simpered. No, Sasuke, I just saw your haircut and got reminded that God always punished asses. He gave you a duck butt. Look at that, Naruto said with his own smirk. Quiet filled the room, then everyone looked at Sasuke's haircut. All the boys started laughing at him and Hinata turned slightly red with her hand over her mouth. Take that back, you orphan freak, Sasuke growled. Takes one orphan freak to know one, I guess, Naruto quipped. Naruto, say sorry, Sakura and Ino shouted. I will when he does, Naruto said with a glare. I don't have to say sorry to you. Sasuke said with a smirk. I am the clan heir of the Uchiha while you are a nobody. Wrong, Naruto said. I am the clan heir of the Uzumaki. Shikamaru immediately sat upright, Hinata looking intently at Naruto while Shino's eyebrow lifted slightly. There's no such clan, you idiot, Ino shouted. Wrong, Shino said, making the whole class look at his direction. The Uzumaki clan of Uzushio were a formidable clan that got wiped out after a joint attack from Iwa, Mizu and Kumo forces. Why? Because they were feared for their proficiency with Fuinjutsu, their chakra capacity and skill in Kenjutsu. It is known that the first's wife Mito Senju was an Uzumaki and one Kushina Uzumaki, who I am going to assume was Uzumaki-san's mother, was the second most powerful shinobi in the village after the fourth Hokage. That still doesn't mean that you are related to them, idiot. Sakura screamed. Characteristics of an Uzumaki are red hair, which Naruto doesn't have, probably because his father had stronger genes. Huge chakra reserves, which would explain why he can't do a normal bunshin. And an advanced healing, which he also has, Shikamaru drawled. You said it yourself, Shika. Naruto doesn't have the red hair. Which means he's not a real Uzumaki, Ino said, slightly unsure of herself. Unless he has them, Shikamaru said, looking at Naruto. Them? What would they be? Sakura said, still believing this to be a prank. Adamantine sealing chains. Naruto brought out a little of his chains. There, enough proof. Naruto is a true Uzumaki. No, shut up. I need more sleep, Shikamaru said. So what? You have a clan, they're still a clan of nobodies compared to mine, Sasuke said, wanting the limelight off of Naruto. What makes you think that, Sasuke? Naruto asked. We founded Konoha, he said. Together with the Senju. And we helped. While the Uzumaki had their own nation, Naruto replied. We have the Sharingan, Sasuke tried again. We have these chains that can bind Biju, large chakra cores and a gift for Fuinjutsu, Naruto smirked. Fat load of good those were when you were wiped out, Sasuke snarled. Eyes that couldn't predict their death at the hands of one man barely into his teens, Naruto said calmly, immediately having to dodge a kunai, which hit the Jonin in charge as he was passing by the open classroom. Ah, right in the noodle. He screamed. Iruka, who was about to enter the classroom when the JIC passed, hurriedly went to help, who threw the kunai. He shouted. Ino and Sakura pointed at Naruto. It was the idiot, sir, Ino said. Yeah, he was trying to impress me, Sakura added. About then, some medic nin came to get the JIC. Iruka, recalling what Naruto had gone through in this class, didn't believe them. So he threw a kunai over his back to impress you? He asked. You know what an idiot he can be, sir, Ino said. Anyone know the truth? He asked the class. Hinata held her hand up. It was Uchiha-san, sir. He got upset when Naruto-kun threw his insults back at him and threw it at Naruto-kun's head. Hinata stuttered out, upset at Sasuke for endangering Naruto's life like that. Is that true? Iruka asked. Yes, sir. Everything Hinata, Hyuga-san said was true, Shino and Kiba said. Sasuke, go to the head of the academy's office. Sakura and Ino, come with me. Iruka shouted. Sasuke stood and walked past Naruto, an angry glare on his face. Sakura paused, her face spotted in anger or embarrassment. Ino had a look of resignation and dejection on her face. She knew Iruka was taking them to their parents. This won't go down well if Naruto's story of his heritage is real. Come on, Sakura, she said, no use making it worse. Green tea with additives, please. Sasuke was sent home for the first time since he entered academy, and instead of enjoying his free time like the other students would, he was too upset. How dare they put me in suspension? I'm an Uchiha. If it weren't for my clan, they'd still be fighting like baboons over overripe fruit. Filthy animals, he thought. He was even more angry at Naruto one-upping him. Uzumaki, ha, a clan of man-whores and sluts. He was looking through the rows of teas at his favored tea vendor stall when he heard. There he goes. Probably has a hair up his bum again, an extremely old man shouted at another. Sasuke ignored what he was sure was a partially deaf man gossiping. Where? The other screamed while squinting. I can't see past that boy wearing a duck's ass. A small tick appeared on his face at remembering those same words coming from that idiot Uzumaki. He looked around to see if someone else was copying his iconic hairstyle. That's him, ya blind mole. The first shrieked loudly. Don't be pointing, Nitwit or he'll know we're gossiping about him. Not seeing anyone, Sasuke turned back to the teas and thought to himself. Old bats made me look for nothing. Oh sorry, but just to be sure we're talking about the same one. Is it the pale one with the sickly looking duck hat? The second one shouted, confused. There. Again. Where is this boy they're talking about? He thought, looking around. Yes, him. The first nodded. Standing in front of the tea vendor that's picking his nose. The second shouted again. Sasuke looked for other tea vendors. Seeing that the one he was at was the only one, he started to get an ill feeling. Yeah. The one that always has his fingers up his, the first said, quietly. Oh god no. Sasuke thought. A greenish pallor on his face. Maybe it's not true. He looked to the side and saw the vendor wiping green slime on his trouser leg. I'm going to be sick, Sasuke thought. Just so we're clear, you're talking about the boy with the red and white fan embroidered on his back. The second one whispered. There's no denying. They described my clan symbol, Sasuke wailed to himself. Jackpot Akifumi. You sharp eyes, you. The first congratulated. Smiling at the praise, old man Akifumi asked, what about him though, Hiroya? I forgot already. His mum was hot though. Old man Hiroya said wistfully. What? How dare these pigs talk about my deceased mother like that? Sasuke fumed. Yeah. His hands over his chest, old man Akifumi gestured, and huge too, he said, a thin blood trail leaving his nose. That's it. They are dead, he thought as he turned around, only to be met face to face by an Anbu wearing a dog mask. On you go, boy, the Anbu said, your 3-day suspension is to be completed inside your clan compound, not loitering about. He said. Grabbing Sasuke's shoulder, he body flickered to the gate of the Uchiha compound, then left. This isn't over, Akifumi and Hiroya. He fumed to himself. XOX. Over at the Merchant's Square, the clones of Naruto hanged into two old men who always overcharged him, dispelled in a puff. Inside the classroom, listening to Iruka drone, Naruto got the memories of the two clones. A large toothy smile appeared on his face, which only meant one thing, trouble. As the students around Naruto subtly moved to other seats, they heard him whisper to himself. So chaos into the world. When Sakura got home with her parents, she was immediately dragged into their living room with her mother standing in front of her, mad as hell. You see, the Haruno aren't ninja. They have always been a merchant clan. Making their money by selling their wares, trading for unique things, then selling them for much more than it's worth. So it has been from generation to generation. Until Sakura's father, Momiji Haruno, knew from a very young age that he wasn't meant to be a merchant. He was enamored by the shinobi of old. Honor, duty, sacrifice. Those ideals stood out for him. It reflected in the halls his soul. So when he was put in the academy, he didn't just go for the normal, how do you do? No, he pulled and proceeded to court death, and that's where he met his wife. Aikika was orphaned as a baby but was lucky enough to be adopted into a good family. The family was older than usual but went on to raise Aikika into a well-mannered young woman who didn't go along with the stream. She formed her own ideas on right and wrong. And that's the reason she was so angry. Sakura, why did you lie to your teacher like that? Aikika asked. Mum, it's only Naruto. He's an idiot, Sakura said. Sitting up, Momiji asked, Naruto Uzumaki. Yes, Dad. That boy came in class, wearing new clothes and acted like he owned the building. Then he had the audacity to tease Sasuke-kun about being an orphan. Then he said, for having such powerful predicting eyes, how did they not see their deaths at the hands of one boy? Sakura twisted the story. She'd forgotten one thing. Her parents were trained in spotting deception. Aikika slapped Sakura hard. Lie to me one more time, and I'll pull you from the academy. Aikika said. Sakura then told her mother everything that happened in class. When she finished, her mother was shaking in the floor, almost emulating Tsunade's catatonic state. What's wrong with Mom, Dad? She asked. Your mother is extremely upset, Blossom. She didn't know Naruto was a true Uzumaki. Momiji said. What's so great about Uzumaki? Sakura growled, then was pulled back by her father, a kunai nicking her neck. If Momiji didn't react that quickly, Sakura would have had a new breathing hole. Aikika, are you mad? Your debts aside, This is still your daughter. He shouted at her. This thing is not my daughter. My Sakura was compassionate. She was trustworthy, not a lie slipped by my baby's lips. Ikika snarled. Sakura, leave us immediately. Momiji ordered. Sakura ran out the door, a kunai striking the door just above where her head was. Ino only wishes she got the treatment Sakura received. When she got home, her father's eyes all of a sudden glazed over. He looked at his wife and said, "Honey, I have to get back to work. Anko caught the guy who attacked the dango merchant. So I have to interrogate him. Don't expect me to return early," Inoichi said. Akira giggled at the reason her husband's subconscious decided on, then turned a cold glare towards Ino. Very well, love. I think Ino and I are going to bond a little as mother and daughter. We are way overdue after all. Aren't we, daughter? Akira said. Daddy, don't leave me here alone. Snap you of it. Ino shouted. Very well then, enjoy your bonding love, Inoichi said, kissing Akira. All alone, at last, Ino. What do you say, should we learn about the major clans of again? Akira said, a sinister smile appearing on her face. No, I know. Let me show you the life of one of the clients I had when he was 8, just starting academy. Ino blew out a breath of relief. She honestly forgot all the things her mother taught her about the clans. So her changing the topic was great. After all, kids that age would only have funny memories. Maybe it's someone she knows and she could tease the boy about it. Sit down, Ino. We're starting now, Akira said, eyes gleaming. As the jutsu hit Ino, she felt she missed something important. Poot Ino, she should have remembered her mother only dealt with major trauma cases. Such as a boy being beaten nearly to death for only existing. Sakura was doing what she always did when she was stressed. What most girls or women did, shopping. She was going through some pretty sundresses when she found one she really liked and was sure would win Sasuke over. She went inside a changing room to try it on and found it dither perfectly. Weird, I always have to go through a lot of dresses before I find the perfect one. Must be my lucky day, she thought. As she went outside to check herself in the mirror outside the dressing rooms, a flash of light and the sound of a camera's shutter grabbed her attention. Someone was taking pictures of her. She thought, blushing. Yus girl, move it, snap. Sakura lifted her arm to pointing her hand to the sky and did a fierce, at least to her, pose. Over the shoulder, snap. She turned and looked over her shoulder looking at the camera as she would look at Sasuke one day. Pout for me, snap. Give us a kiss, Sasuke-kun. You're doing it, snap. Oh, just a little kiss, Sasuke-kun. You're a natural. Snap. Take 5, babe. I want to check how the last 5 came out, the photographer said, walking out to a darker area to do a simple photo ninjutsu, one that gave previews of pictures. What the hell is this? They heard shouting coming from the darkened room. No. Just no, the photo nin screamed, rushing out. You pink-haired spider monkey. Why did you ruin our photos? He shouted. Shouldn't you be in school? I thought you were taking photos of me in my pretty pink dress. Sakura whimpered. Dress? You're wearing a potato sack. Are you dumb as well as blind? Just leave before I call our guards to sort you out, he growled in her face. Sakura grabbed her clothes and ran out of the clothing store, still wearing the potato sack. A small puff could be seen around the corner of the store. Naruto was practicing the genjutsu he found under the name Toka Senju. A woman who wasn't to be trifled with, as evidently seen in the number of humiliating jutsu she created. As the saying goes, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Toka was judge, jury and executioner. XOX. In the playground, Naruto stopped eating for a second. Seems like Sakura got her share of humiliation, he thought with a grin. Ino's mom was handling that punishment, he thought. I can forgive her for showing those memories if it works. Perhaps Ino would see life isn't all sunshine and daisies. Hey, Naruto. Sorry about what happened inside. And for ignoring you the whole time. Kiba said, coming towards Naruto. Yes, Uzumaki-san, we didn't know you were a true Uzumaki, Shino said. So now that you know, you want to get to know me all of a sudden? Naruto said with a frown. You must understand, Uzumaki-san. The clan's heirs have targets on them, As shown in the case of Uchiha-san, the civilians in merchants' daughters would try anything to get married into a clan. We can't afford to be misused, Shino explained. So, I'm a guy. You thought I would seduce you guys? Please. Naruto said. There are female heirs here, like Hinata, Kiba said. Hinata could be seen touching her index fingers in a nervous gesture, a heavy blush on her face. Not that she would mind, Kiba said to himself. Nonetheless, Naruto heard and blushed lightly. You thought the Hokage would allow an orphan to use the name of Konoha's staunchest allies. There are over 20 orphan children and teens in Konoha at the moment, name one besides myself who is called Uzumaki. Naruto growled, seeing through the flimsy excuses. Shino couldn't form a reply. He was stumped that Naruto would see through his lie. Just be honest. It's clear that this isn't the Naruto we were used to, so you won't be able to manipulate him like that. Shikamaru said. Very well. To be honest, we were barred by our clan heads from talking to you, Shino said. And why would they do that? Naruto asked. We think they are being threatened, Shikamaru said. By who? A confused Naruto wanted to know. The 3 clan elders, specifically one guy who has the power to threaten us, Shino said. And before you ask, no, we can't say his name. You'd have to figure it out yourself. Shikamaru told Naruto. F for what it's worth, and Naruto-kun. We're sorry for ignoring you, Hinata said with a bow. The group as one turned around and walked out of the playground.